Shall we start the session?
Yes, Abhijit, we can start. Sir, we can start the session.
So please unmute yourself. We can start.
So now I'm going to start the session. So let me share the screen. Now we are moving to the some advanced concepts of Garch model, volatility modeling. So number one, we are going to discuss the asymmetric Garch model. Second, the exponential Garch model. Third, mean Garch model. Four is seasonal volatility. And five is volatility is spillover. And six, component Garch. So now let's discuss on these aspects. So first is the asymmetric Garch. Now what is asymmetric Garch? So in order to understand the asymmetric Garch, you need to understand two things. There are two concepts here. One is the dummy variable. And the second is interaction dummy variable. Interaction dummy variable. Okay. Now my first question is that will you react in a similar way as in case of positive and negative information? If you heard a positive news or if you heard a negative news, whether you respond, whether volatility should be same for both or not. So the question is that whether volatility should be same in positive and negative news. If yes, then volatility is symmetric. If no, then volatility is asymmetric. The answer is actually no. The answer is no. It means our behavior to negative news and positive news is significantly different. Okay. So now we want to prove it. And let me note down the points which we have to discuss. First is the asymmetric EM seasonality, spillover, and component. Okay, now let's focus on the first part. So I'm telling you two things. Like for example, this is the volatility. Suppose this is volatility, and I'm applying the equation beta 1 when there is a error term when it is negative, and beta 2 and when the error is positive. When the error is positive. So this equation is known as the dummy regression. When error is known as 1, I give 1. When error is positive, I put 0. So something like that. So whenever the error is positive, we put 1. When the error is negative, we put 0. This concept is called dummy. So because it is 0, so I'm not taking it. I'm taking only 1 when the error is negative. So here, what is the meaning of this beta? The meaning of this beta is volatility of negative news minus volatility of positive news. This is the nature of dummy regression model, right? So now, if we capture the asymmetric behavior of the volatility, we can use this dummy variable. In order to explain dummy variable in a simple language, I'm taking one simple example. Suppose I have two variables, income. This is the income data, and this is the gender data. So gender, I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2 like this. And because we know that the categorical variable cannot be added into the regression model, so we have to convert into a dummy. So I convert into a male dummy and female dummy. So this is a 1. When person is a male, it is 1, otherwise 0, otherwise 0. And when person is a female, we put 1, otherwise 0. So we can convert any variable into a dummy variable. Okay. Now, if I apply the regression model, then income is equal to beta 1 into dummy of male plus beta 2 dummy of female. So beta 1 will give me the average income of the male, and beta 2 will give me the average income of female. This is the nature of dummy regression model. And if I run the alpha is equal to beta plus dummy of male, then beta will tell me that how much the income of male is more than the income of female. This is called simple dummy. Now there is another case. This is known as interaction dummy. So what is interaction dummy? Let's say this is the sales. We are having the advertisement, and there is a dummy variable. And dummy variable, we are having the sales data and the advertisement data. And before a time period, it is all 0. And this is all 1. So we are having one dependent, one independent, and one dummy. If I multiply A into D, this is called interaction dummy. So before this, it is 0, because if you multiply 0 with anybody, it is always 0. And this is the advertisement A. So now the question is that why we are doing it? Because we want to examine the impact of dummy on the sales. So now I can run the equation like sales is equal to alpha plus beta 1 into advertisement plus beta 2 into A into DM. Now, if you understand the impact of beta 2, then it means you can understand the T-GARS model. So how beta 2 can be expressed? Beta 2 can be expressed like beta 2 minus beta 1 equal to the differential beta. And this differential beta is telling you that what is the effect of advertisement? What is the effect of advertisement on sales before this time and after this time, right? So this is a differential beta. Now we are using this differential beta in the Gauss model. So how we can use it? Let me show you. So my Gauss model is t square equal to alpha plus beta 1 into e t minus 1 square plus beta 2 sigma t minus 1 square. Now I am writing here the gamma into e t minus 1 into dummy. So now I'm adding a new variable into the model. This is known as interaction dummy ID. This is known as interaction dummy, and gamma is the coefficient of interaction dummy. Gamma is the coefficient of interaction dummy. Coefficient of interaction dummy. Now, how it is important, and basically this dummy is one when the news is negative, and this d is positive. D is 0 actually when the news is positive. So when error terms are positive, it is 0. When the error terms are negative, it is 1. So it is called the dummy of the news or dummy of the negative news. Now this sigma, this gamma, if found to be significant, this indicates the presence of asymmetric behavior of the volatility. This represents the asymmetric behavior of the volatility. And if it is positive, it means the volatility of the negative news is significantly higher than the volatility of the positive news. And if it is negative, it means the volatility of the negative news is less than the volatility of the positive news. So in this way, we can interpret the asymmetric behavior of the volatility. So I'm just repeating, summarizing it. So for a layman, those who don't know mathematics, just for summarizing them. So we are talking about the threshold gauge, T gauge. The equation of the T gauge is sigma T square equal to alpha plus beta 1 into E T minus 1. This is square plus beta 2 sigma T minus 1 square plus gamma. I'm knowingly putting gamma here. E T minus 1 into D when E T minus 1 is less than 0. So this model is known as T-Gauss model. There are few points which you have to note down. If gamma is significant, it represents the presence of asymmetric volatility. Asymmetric volatility is present. Number 2, if gamma is positive, it means volatility of negative news is significantly more than volatility of the positive news. And if gamma is negative, it means volatility of the negative news is less than volatility of the positive news. So we are going to check this. And this model is known as T-Gauge or threshold gauge, and this is also known as JGR model. JGR.
Sir, can I interrupt you?
Yeah, please.
Sir, actually, maybe my doubt is very simple one. Like first we need to calculate error terms, right, sir? For any economic variable. For example, if I have taken exchange rate, then I need to calculate the volatility of exchange rate Then from that, we need to take the error terms and plug in into this model, right, sir?
Actually, the software will do it automatically. So we
Okay.
need not to do each and everything. We have to just instruct the software that we are going to apply TCAS model, and software will in the background save the error term, convert the error term into the dummy regression model, dummy variable.
Okay.
And when error is less than 0, it is 1. When error is more than 0, it is positive. It is 0.
Yeah.
Then software multiply this error term with the dummy with the error term. Dummy with the error term. You can see that this into dummy and use this variable as a independent variable.
So wherever the error is 0, like we created like positive error as a 0 and negative error as 1, something like that.
Yes, I'm
That
showing
is
you.
treated as a dummy.
Yes. Now I'm showing you how to do it in the.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's consider for USD INR. So it is that how many rupees comes in one USD, and we have the data from 2005, and this data is real data, and 2009. And now I want to check the unit code first. So it is non-stationary. And let me check for the first difference. It is stationary. So I know that it is stationary after first difference. This step is very, very important in the beginning. Now I am applying D-log USD INR. It is exchange rate. And I first of all, I want to check for ARMA 11 model. Okay. And the R square is insignificant. To just improve the model, I am putting D-log Nifty -1. So I hope that the previous movement of Nifty is able to influence the exchange rate. In research, normally we found that. Okay, let me check not -1. -1 means one day back. If I check only this is on same day it is significant. Okay, so let's take this because you can see that by adding Nifty, the R square jumped to 15%. So similarly, we can improve the model further, but now I'm not focusing on that. So I am focusing on the error term. So my error term is coming like this, and you can see the clear volatility spillover. This is a volatile period. This is a volatile period, and this is stable period comparatively. So I expect the volatility spillover in this behavior. And if I save this term, you can go to proc, make residual series, and I'm giving this name the RES, then exchange rate. EX means exchange rate. So you can see that some of the error terms are positive and some of the error terms are negative. Some of the error terms are positive, some of the error terms are negative. And now you know that when the error term is negative, it means there is some negative news comes. Actually, in the sense of the exchange rate, in the context of the exchange rate, this minus is positive. Because how it is positive? Because when exchange rate is negative, it means 60 rupees come to 59 rupees. And in returns, it is negative, but for Indian perspective, it is positive because your rupee is getting strong. So positive news gives you negative impact, and the negative news gives you positive impact. So this is a positive impact in case of exchange rate. I hope you have clarity on this. Okay, so the error terms can be converted into dummy variable, but we are not doing it. The software will automatically do it. And I just want to check the volatility spillover in this error term. So if I go for the residual test, so it is significant, highly significant, but if I want to improve the lag, let me take the 10 lakhs. So it will give me 3 days significant volatility. It means if any important news comes, it will create volatility for at least 3 days. So in 15 years data set, we found that at least 3 days is the average day when a single news can affect the volatility in exchange rate. After that, we go to the estimate. Now we are moving to the Arch model. So by default, it is a Garch model. Arch 1 effect, Arch 2 1 effect, and student T, I'm taking it. Now distribution. So you can see that the Garch effect is significantly higher than the news effect. So exchange rate is also volatile, having more persistence in the volatility. Okay, and news effect is the significant but less. Okay, so after looking at this, now we want to check the asymmetric effect. So for asymmetric effect, I put this threshold order 1. The moment you put threshold order 1, the Garch model is converted to T-Arch model, threshold Garch model. Arch model is also known as threshold model, or it is also known as JGR model. So JGR stands for Jagannathan and something. So actually, I wrote one chapter in the book. So this is the asymmetric Garch model. So this model is also known as JGR model, and it is the extension of the authors. Okay, Gloston, Jagannathan, and Ranki model. So they give this model. Okay, now if you put threshold order 1, it means you are going to apply Tarch model. Just click OK. So you can see that this is the term which we are getting now. So the term which I am showing you is the term which indicates that. So if you let me copy this, and I am taking to the Paint to explain you very important thing. So this is the result of the JGR model. Now, one thing which you have to understand by looking at this model is that the coefficient is minus, the coefficient is significant. So we can say the gamma, let's say it is gamma, the gamma is minus 0.032. So, and this is number 1, this is minus, this is significant. How it is significant? Because the p value is, you can see it is insignificant. So p value is significant. Now, can anybody think about why it is negative and significant? Negative means the volatility of negative news is less than volatility of positive news. So here we are saying opposite. Basically, the human nature is that whenever we listen negative news, the heart attack may come. But whenever we heard the positive news, you never have the heart attack. Basically, the response toward the negative news is higher than positive news. But if we see the exchange rate, the volatility due to negative news is less than volatility due to positive news. So this is the surprising concept we are having. If I ask why it is so, I'm explaining you how it is possible. Suppose your rupee is 70 rupees in 1 USD. Right. Suppose there is 70 rupees in $1, and a negative news comes. So what happens with the negative news? Then this 70 rupees will be 72. Yeah, 71. In this case, the returns is, if you calculate the log 72 upon log 70, it is positive. So in exchange rate, the positive returns means negative news. Positive returns means negative news. And if some positive news comes in exchange rate, then it becomes 69. So rupee becomes strong. If there's positive news comes about India, the rupee will strong and it come to the 69, and then return will be negative. So basically negative return means good news and positive return means bad news. So that's why in exchange rate we are having opposite result. Means the impact of negative news, which is actually the positive news. Negative return means positive news. Negative error term means positive news. Positive error term means negative news. So in the exchange rate, we are having the opposite result. So in exchange rate, the result, the conclusion we can make is that.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. It can be handled if we reverse the ratio. I mean, USD versus INR.
Yes.
Instead of INR versus USD, no?
Yeah.
If we do like that, then
we will get the normal results. But actually, a researcher must have a deep understanding of the concepts. So if you understand the exchange rate, it is very easy to understand all these things. And if I apply this same model on Nifty or a gold or any other financial asset, I will definitely get this coefficient as positive. So let me show you one more example.
Sir, if you don't mind, can you put these into the equation what you have shown just now, earlier, like alpha plus beta and.
Okay. So if you see this equation.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can see also here. The equation is Gauss equal to, Gauss means sigma n minus 1, sigma t minus 1 square. C4 is the constant. This is the constant. Multiplied by C5. C5 is the this coefficient. Recit minus 1 square. It is means it is the arch term. Recit minus 1 square multiplied by, this is a dummy variable conditioning. It is a condition when recit minus 1 is less than 0.
Okay.
So this is actually the interaction dummy. This is called interaction dummy. So we are taking the residual minus 1 square only when recid minus 1 means the residual term is less than 0. It means negative. And if it is positive, it means it is 0. So it is this term is known as interaction dummy term. And interaction dummy term is comparing with the reference. Here the reference is positive. So here we can say that the news of the volatility is minus 0.3.2 less than the positive news.
So
I hope you're getting it.
To interpret what we can say is, since it has turned out to be negative, the rupee has depreciated, and can we interpret like that, sir?
Yeah, actually, negative. This negative is coming for the negative error terms, and negative error come when there is a positive news comes.
Right, sir.
So
rupee has
whenever the
strengthened.
whenever the positive news comes in the Indian market, Indian exchange rate market, right, volatility is less as compared to when you have the negative news. Because if negative news, the rupee will depreciate. Depreciate means it will give you positive return.
Yes, sir.
Got it?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, now let me show you the Nifty example.
Sir, one more
Yes.
simple thing, like where can we find all these things, whatever you have mentioned, like asymmetry information and T-guard channel? Is there any possibility to get all these things in one book sort of things?
Basically,
Exponential.
sir, I write a chapter in a book. Unfortunately, the publisher got bankrupt, so book is not in the market. But I wrote a complete chapter on the Gauch. So I will give you that chapter.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So actually, this is the chapter modeling volatility with Gauch family. So I wrote this chapter. It is 25 page. So it is
Okay,
very
sir.
extensive chapter.
Yeah, this would be easy for us to understand, sir, practically.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now I am showing you this T-Gauch model with another data set. I'm using Nifty now. And here I am taking USD, INR, just to improve the model. And I am applying the T-Gauch model directly because we understand the nature of Nifty. Nifty is stationary after one difference, making first difference. Now you see it is positive, and it is very high also, 12. If you see this term, the answer is very, very clear. That let me take this in the I am taking here. Now here negative return and positive return is not a confusion, because in exchange rate only that person will understand who is understanding the exchange rate. Nifty, everybody knows that. Negative news minus the error, if error is negative, it means negative news come in the market. If error term is positive, it means positive news comes in the market. Now we are very clear. And here you can see this term, receipt -1. E -1 means previous day. -1 means previous day is less than 0. Less than 0 means negative news. So here we are taking the negative news. Now what is the interpretation? The coefficient of gamma, let me take this, gamma is equal to 1.12, and normal receipt is okay, and it is found to be significant because p value is found to be significant. So I put double star here. So now what it means? It means that number one, there exists significant asymmetric volatility in the behavior of Nifty stock prices. So it means whenever there is a negative news comes, the market is more volatile as compared to if a positive news comes. So Nifty is asymmetric volatility. Nifty have asymmetric volatility. Number two, the volatility of the negative news is more than volatility of a positive news. By how much? 0.12. 0.12. So because this is 0.125. So in this way we can understand the nature of the volatility. So whenever I'm telling you one more thing. It is always observed that market is moving like this. So crash comes in one day or 1 or 2 days, but market will don't move in one day. Market cannot move from 7,000 to 10,000 one day or 2 day or 3 days, but it can come down in 2 or 3 days. It is possible. So coming down is very sharp, but moving is not very sharp. Moving up is not very sharp. So market moves like this, but crashes like this. So this is because of the asymmetric behavior of the investors in the market. So this is known as asymmetric volatility. I hope it is clear. Now we are moving to the second aspect, the other aspect, that is called eGarch. So this is the best of the Garch family, best model in the Garch family. Yeah, this is eGarch. Now in eGarch, this is the equation. So now I hope you can see this model clearly. Okay. Now in this eGarch model, what we are doing it. Let me explain you the concept of eGarch model. In eGarch model, the residual term is divided into two effects. One effect is called size effect, and second effect is known as sign effect. So we break the Garch model into two components, size effect and the sign effect. Let me show you this. Okay. Now, if you see the Garch model, if you compare this model with the Garch model, the independent variable, we only take the log, no other difference. Right? Sigma t square is the same thing. We only take the log. Here we take the log on the Garch term. So this is called Garch term. So this is my conditional volatility. This is Garch term. So this is Garch. Now in this portion, the error term is broken into two parts. The error term is broken down into two parts. The first part is known as the sign effect, and this part is known as size effect. Size effect, because this is called mode. This is mode. In modulus means whether it is positive, whether it is negative, we have to take only the positive. So you can see this portion. This portion is called modulus. This is called modulus. So we are ignoring the sign in this portion. So therefore, this is called size effect. So how much size is influencing the volatility of tomorrow? So this alpha is a measurement of the size effect, and gamma is a measure of sign effect. And gamma not only measures the sign effect, it also measures the asymmetry. It also measures the asymmetry, right? And if I ask you, what should be the sign of gamma? What should be the sign of gamma, right? So if you apply your common sense, this is the error term, and error term is started from the negative and increases to the positive, right? So I expect this gamma is always negative. Why negative? Because if errors increases, if the value of the error increases, it means it is moving from negative to positive. The volatility always comes down. So if error is moving from negative to positive, the volatility should come down. So now we have to check. Now we can check whether the volatility is having the significant sign effect, and this sign effect is also measuring the asymmetric effect. Second, I want to check the alpha. Alpha is a measure of size effect. I want to check whether the size of error term is having impact on the volatility or not. And we know that higher the size, higher the volatility. So alpha should come as a positive. Alpha should be positive for a good normal behavior. So now I hope it is clear to you. This model is known as eGarch model. I am telling you, now nobody is applying the Garch model, simple Garch model. They prefer to apply E-Garch model. E-Garch model is one of the best model among all the models of Garch, and I am telling you the reason why it is so. Because it captures so many informations in the volatility. It captures the persistence effect. This beta is the measure of persistence effect. The gamma is a measure of asymmetric effect as well as the sign effect. The alpha is a measure of size effect. So we can capture all the effects, and if you can add one more variable, exogenous variable, you can capture the exogenous or the spillover effect also. So now I'm showing you how to capture all these things. Okay, let me. So if you have time, just read this. For just spend 2 minutes in reading this.
Sir, can
Hmm.
I ask a simple question? Means
Yes, yes,
conceptual.
Yeah.
Sir, this size variant, that is the mod of ut minus 1 by sigma square t. And sir, sigma square is the means it is deviation from the mean, right, sir?
Sigma, you are asking this.
Yes, sir. Sir, last part of
UT,
that is
UT.
yes, sir. ut minus 1 and divided by sigma square t minus 1.
Yeah.
Right, sir. That is the means the deviations from the mean from the last observations.
No.
Means so that is a not standard deviation. It's not.
No. It is not a standard. It is standard deviation, but it is not deviation from the mean. Actually, okay. So actually, you missed somewhere a very important concept. Let me tell you that.
Sorry, sir.
Here we are. The whole lecture is about the error term.
Yes, sir.
Error, and as I told you, the error term is not coming like this. Never. Error
Yes,
is coming like this.
yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Today, actual error is represented by the E,
Yes,
or tomorrow, which we are going to forecast,
yes, sir.
is represented by the sigma.
Yes, sir. And
So
yes,
sigma t, whenever I say sigma t, it is forecasted. It is forecasted error. It is the forecasted error.
sir, forecasted on the basis of the previous or the
Yes.
sir deviations from the mean.
No. We are not.
Okay, sir.
Actually, that is not the concept.
Okay.
Here the concept is that we are going to basically. Okay, let me explain in another way. By this, you will understand this. So I'm saying that if I want to forecast a value with the help of a model, this is my model, and this is the error term. Error, okay?
Yes,
This
sir.
is ET.
Yes, sir. Yes.
ET. Suppose this is called expected value because model is giving you expected value.
Yes, sir.
Your expected value is suppose 102,
Okay, sir.
but your actual value is 90 because market can move down, market can move up.
Yes, sir.
In this case, your error is the 90 minus 102 means
sir.
minus 12. So
Yes, sir.
you are having this minus 12 error term.
Yes, sir.
It is having two important things. One is sign and one is the size.
Okay,
And
sir.
size we can divide it from the actual size so that we can convert into a percentage.
Yes.
Sign means some negative news comes because of which the market goes down.
Yes,
This
sir.
is called sign effect. And
Okay,
size effect means how much is the effect of this size. Now the question is, I am interested to find out the error term of tomorrow.
Yes.
So this is my objective, right? This is called
Yes, sir.
conditional volatility. But for tomorrow, because it is not actual, it is predicted. Tomorrow I can only predict.
Yes, sir.
So predicted error term is written by sigma t square.
Okay, sir.
So in the whole Gauss family, the sigma t square only represent the predicted error. So I want to predict the error for tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we are the whole modeling is for this term only.
Okay, sir. That is means upcoming error term I am forecasting on the basis of the only the error term which I can observe, right, sir?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I am also telling you that. I hope you can see this screen.
Yes, sir.
So the normal model is that I want to forecast the tomorrow error term with the help of number one, my first independent variable is et minus 1 square. This value I already have.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now second, I also have the today's predicted value.
Yes,
Sigma
sir.
t minus 1 square, because the way I am predicting for tomorrow, similarly I also predicted for the today also.
2 days. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the expected volatility of today.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Now I'm adding some more information like asymmetry. If I add the asymmetry, this is called T-Gars model.
Yes, sir.
Now, actually, different researchers only change the format of this equation and make different their own equations. That is the whole Gauss family. So now the family I'm showing you in this family, this is exponential Gauss model. Exponential Gauss model take the log of the dependent variable and make some changes. This value is the proportion of the error term to the persistence.
Okay, sir. Means that is we actually express expected volatility of today.
Yeah.
Right, sir? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So,
Sir, got
and
it.
this is the ratio of the actual volatility upon expected volatility.
Yes, sir.
So, sigma t minus 1 is the expected volatility of today.
Today.
Yeah. And this is the actual volatility of today.
Yes, sir.
And this portion is converted into size effect, sign effect.
Yes, sir.
So, in this way, we broken
Okay.
down the mathematics.
Right. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I hope you understand this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So now I am showing you the EGAS model.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please refer to that equation once again?
This equation?
Yes, sir. Sir, if ut minus 1 is the actual volatility and the denominator is root sigma square t minus 1 is the expected volatility, sir, what if the ratio is equal to 1 or greater than 1 or less than 1? What implications?
Normally, this ratio is always less than 1.
Okay, sir.
Right.
That means the actual should be less than the expected one.
Yeah. Actually, why I'm telling so? Because if you understand the nature of the volatility, the persistence volatility, the predicted. Okay. But that is the persistence level. Okay, so here we are just taking the ratio of the actual volatility and the expected volatility. It may be less than 1, it may be more than 1, it may be equal to 1 also. So whatever be, its value could be anything. But because EGARS model, the person who gave this model, actually, I think this model was provided by Nelson. The Nelson in 1991. So he gave this model. And the purpose is to broken down the impact of error term into two effects. One is this is called sign effect, and this is called size effect. And we have to study both the effects differently. So this is the purpose of eGARCH model, and this is the most finest model in the GARCH family. So any other confusion you are having?
No, sir.
Let me go to the eViews. Now I'm going to show you the eGARCH model, and we will do some additional impact on the eGARCH. So I'm taking the D-log, Nifty, C, AR1, MA1, and D-log, USD, INR. Okay, let's take only this part. Yeah. Now I'm going to the GARCH family. So I'm applying eGARCH. Now I'm going to apply eGARCH model, and just select eGARCH, do nothing in this option, and click OK. So now if you see this part, right? So in this part, because eViews run in another way, log GARCH is my dependent, C5 is the constant, C6 absolute resid. So C6 is my in eView the interpretation is significant, quite different. So let me take this portion in Paint. Yeah. So if you see this equation, now see this equation very carefully. The C6 is absolute ABS. It means it is a size effect. C7 is the sign effect, and C8 is the persistence. So I want to see these three effects. So as I told you, C size effect, it is 0.05 significant. It means there is a significant size effect. It means higher the error term, higher will be the impact of the volatility on the tomorrow. Higher is the size effect, higher will be the impact on the volatility on the tomorrow. Sign effect, you can find it is negative. It means if the error term moves up, the volatility moves down, right? So it is always coming negative. And persistence effect is very high, 0.98, and is significant. So the volatility is found to be highly persistent. So very high persistence is found in the volatility. So this is simply known as eGARCH model, and eGARCH model is a better model as compared to all previous models that we studied in the GARCH. So we can add some more important concepts in the eGARCH model I'm showing you. Suppose I want to see whether this eGARCH volatility is coming from the returns in any other stock also. Like for example, I can put D-log or USD and or let's take this USD INR. Okay. So what it means, I want to check. So it is a variance regressor, right? So I want to check whether the returns on the same day is causing the volatility in the Nifty on that day or not. So if I apply this, you can see that this is found to be C9 is found to be significant. It means the fluctuations in the exchange rate, the fluctuations in the exchange rate also is responsible for the volatility in the Nifty. So you can see that. So in this way, we can also find out whether the volatility is coming from other series or not. Similarly, I can check one more thing. D-log USD INR -1. So is it possible that the previous movement of USD is coming volatility today? Is it possible? Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, actually C10 means -1. So the previous volatility, the previous fluctuations in the exchange rate also contribute the volatility in the Nifty on the next day. Now I'm telling you why. Because if a big foreign institutional investor decided to buy tomorrow, so they first convert they buy rupees against dollars. So they buy rupees, and next day they start buying, or something like that. So one day before, C10 means -1 means one day before. So one day before movement in the exchange rate also tells you the hint that tomorrow the market is going to be volatile. So in this way, we can also add the exogenous terms into the EGARCH model. So similarly, you can add some more terms. And I'm telling you one more thing. That is called volatility spillover. We have, okay, so let's minimize this. And we are having the series. So you can see that the residual of the exchange rate, this is the error term of the exchange rate. If I take the square of this, let me take the this equation. Yeah. So in this equation, I am taking the residual of the exchange rate and power 2. Power 2 means I am doing the square of the error term, because the some of the error term may be negative, some of the error term may be positive. So I want to see that whether the volatility of the exchange rate is causing the volatility in the Nifty. And answer is no. So here we are not finding out any the impact. Okay, if I say -1, so is the volatility in exchange rate previous day is having the impact on the volatility of Nifty today? And answer is yes. See, you can see that the answer is yes. So what I'm doing, I'm basically in the GARCH model, I add a new term. This new term is residual or in exchange rate square -1. So this concept is called volatility spillover. Whether the volatility of Nifty or whether the volatility of exchange rate is causing the volatility on Nifty or not. So you can also study the volatility, although this method was very old method of studying the volatility spillover. Now we are having very advanced methods of conducting the volatility spillover. Like DCC GARCH model is the famous model of examining the volatility spillover. But this method we also adopt to represent the spillover of the volatility. Okay, so I have shown you how to calculate the volatility spillover using EGARCH also, and which is the most popular model in today's time. So I hope the EGARCH model is clear. So we have done the EGARCH also. Now the next model I am showing you is called the mean GARCH model. Okay, the next is the mean GARCH, or it is called M-GARCH model. Now the question is that is the returns and volatility are related to each other? Is the returns and volatility are related to each other? In another way, can we say the high risk and high return high risk and high return is applicable. So these type of questions comes in the mind that whether the returns and volatility are related to each other or not. So that question is solved by AMGARCH model. So now what AMGARCH is doing, AMGARCH is doing that the returns of the portfolio is equal to, now we are applying actually the forecasting model. In the forecasting model, we are adding one more term, that is sigma t minus 1 square, or sigma, like let's take sigma t square. Sigma t square is the representation of the volatility, and this is the returns. If this gamma is found to be significant, if gamma is found to be significant, it means there is a significant effect of the volatility on the returns. This concept is known as mean Garch model. Here we are finding the impact of the volatility on the returns of the series. So let me show you that. Okay, so we want to check this in case of Nifty. So let me go to the equation again. D log Nifty C AR1 MA1, then D log, let me take USD INR. Okay, go to the Arch model. Now you can see that we are having an option called Arch M. Arch M, you can see this option Arch M. So here you are having some options like standard deviation, variance, log of variance. So you can take any one. So I am taking the standard deviation. Or let's take the variance. Variance means volatility, square of the volatility, error square. And if you click OK, now you can see in the dependent variable, I have the Garch term. So in the forecasting equation, I have the Garch as the independent variable. I have the Garch as an independent variable, but not found to be significant. So we can conclude that the returns and volatility are not related to each other. Almost every researcher have this conclusion that volatility is nothing to do with the returns. There is no relation with the volatility in the returns. So high risk, high return is not the fact with everybody. So anybody cannot make high returns in the high volatile periods. So there is no relationship between the volatility and the return. So this model, the first part of the model is known as the mean Garch, M-Garch model.
Sir, in this case, what would be the null hypothesis, sir? Like we are
There is no
if the p-value
relationship
is
between.
significant, then
Yeah. So the null hypothesis is that there is no relationship between the volatility and the volatility and the asset returns.
okay.
There is no relationship between the asset volatility and the asset returns. And here we don't found any impact also. And in fact, not only me, in most of the cases we have not found the relationship between asset volatility and the asset returns. Because here my dependent variable is returns, and one of the independent variable is the asset volatility, and they are not found to be related.
Then it means the theory like higher the risk, higher the return is also not proved.
No. In case of the asset returns, actually it is applicable only for some special people. Like for example, everybody cannot make high returns in the high volatile periods. Some are making money, some are losing money. So that's why a common rule we cannot apply.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we have done the three models up to this. One we have done is the T-GARCH model that is used for asymmetric volatility. The second is E-GARCH model that is used for the broking the effect of error terms on the volatility into size effect, sign effect, and you can also add the volatility spillover into that. And I'm telling and showing you one more example of the volatility spillover. So if you want to do volatility spillover, you can also do this. Suppose I am interested in showing the volatility from the Nifty to the gold. So what method I should adopt? So let me okay. So now I'm showing you how to examine the volatility spillover from Nifty to gold. So there are two methods. I'm showing you both the methods. First of all, I will make a equation for the forecasting equation for the Nifty. So this is the forecasting equation, and okay, MA should be 1. Now I go to proc, go to the residual series, and I'm saving it in the name of residual Nifty. Okay, so this is residual Nifty. In this case, some of the error terms are positive, some of the error terms are negative. So I have to convert it into a square term. So I go to the quick generate series. So here I am writing ERR NIF equal to residual Nifty into residual Nifty. So what I'm doing, I'm taking the square of, or you can also write here, just power 2. So in this way, you can save a new variable called ERR. This is Nifty. So we can take this variable as an independent variable in analyzing the effect of Nifty volatility on the gold volatility. This is method 1. Another method is that in this equation, I go to the GARCH model, and better we apply the E-GARCH model. E-GARCH is the best model. Click on it. This is the result of E-GARCH model. Now go to proc and use this make GARCH variance series. Make GARCH variance series. So I am going to save this variance series, and I'm saying that it is the GARCH series of Nifty, the conditional variance of Nifty. Okay. So now I have two series of Nifty. One is the GARCH series, that is the predicted volatility, and one is ERR series, that is the actual volatility. So I can see their impact on gold volatility. So let me close this. So both the series I have ERR Nifty and the GARCH Nifty. This is the actual error terms in the Nifty. This is the forecasted volatility in the Nifty, and how it is they are impacting the gold price. Let me check. Okay, let me try this. Okay. So this is the E-GARCH model for gold. Fine. Now I want to check whether ERR of Nifty on the same day as well as ERR of Nifty on the previous day -1, influencing the volatility of the gold. So मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि क्या निफ्टी की वॉलेटिलिटी गोल्ड की वॉलेटिलिटी को इन्फ्लुएंस करती है? बिल्कुल करेगी. Definitely you can see that. So there is a
Sir-
significant effect of the stock volatility on the gold volatility, and same day is having positive. Same day is having positive. The previous day is found to be negative. Means actually होता क्या है, थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है इसको समझना. अगर स्टॉक मार्केट में बहुत ही कभी बुरी खबर आती है या अच्छी खबर आती है, तो उसी दिन लोग क्या करते हैं कि बेच के गोल्ड में पैसा लगाना शुरू कर देते हैं. So same day they shifted from one asset to another asset. Normally लोग कैश रखना पसंद नहीं करते. So they shift from one asset to another asset on the same day. So you can see that this is found to be same effect. So on the same day, the effect is very clear. On the other day, the effect is found to be negative. So we have to think on the logic of this negative also. So this concept is called volatility spillover effect. And you can also do along with the guard series. So we also have the guard series. Guard means predicted value. So predicted volatility, how the predicted volatility is influencing the volatility in the gold. So let me take -1 and same day.
Sir, may I interrupt you, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, so in this model, we are not taking the Nifty values, sir. We are just taking the volatility of Nifty. That's it, right, sir?
Yeah.
Whatever GARCH values we have stored, we are taking that as a independent variable into this model.
Yeah.
And sir, why we there is a USD INR also? This is also one of the independent variables, sir.
We can add more variable. That is not a problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can add more variable. This is just for a because my focus is not on the forecasting model. My focus is on the volatile side. So I'm not giving much time to the forecasting model.
Okay, so we can add any number of variables.
We can add. We can add. Okay, now you can see that how the expected volatility in the Nifty also influences the volatility in positive side on the gold. So it is also true that whatever we are expecting in the stock market also influences the volatility in the gold market. So that is also true in the equation. The significant effect we found. However, when I take both the values, is not found to be significant. But when I take -1, so previous day is also found to be significant. Yeah, you can see that both previous as well as the same day, both are found to be significant effect in the volatility of the gold. So not only the actual volatility, but also the predicted volatility is also causing the volatility in the gold. So we can make, so you know that it is somehow it is a deep understanding of the behavior of the financial assets. So even I can take the both. I want to see whether the actual error in the Nifty, predicted volatility in the Nifty, who is in the more effect. Actually, you can see that C9 means the actual error. Actual error is having more effect on the gold volatility as compared to the previous. And due to multicollinearity, they are found to be insignificant, but actually they are significant. Because both of these are found to be highly correlated. So that's why due to multicollinearity, both are found to be insignificant. But here I got the information that the actual error is having more effect than the predicted error. So we can do all these experimentations in the volatility spillover. So I showed you how to do the volatility spillover. how to check the volatility spillover effects using the EGARS model. And we always, whenever you are interested in examining the volatility spillover, always go for the this EGARS model. Don't use a simple GARS or don't use the EGARS model. EGARS model is mostly found in the research. So most of the researchers are prefer to use EGARS model as compared to other models. You can do one more thing. You can do forecasting in the volatility also. You can forecast for the next period. So forecasting is also possible. And proc, you can save the GARS series from here like this. Okay, now I'm telling you one thing, that even volatility has two parts. One is predicted and one is unpredicted. So in the EGARS model, if you go for a GARS series, GARS variance series, it means you can say you are saving the predicted component of the volatility. If you go for make residual series, this is called unpredicted component of the volatility. So sometimes what happens, the volatility is also having two components. One is the predicted component and one is called unpredicted component. That is called idiosyncratic volatility. The volatility which cannot be predicted. And this is coming because of uncertainty. So you can also save this unpredicted volatility or idiosyncratic volatility, make residual series. So this is also okay. Now I'm going to the next portion, which is known as component GARS. So let me check whether I have component GARS here or not. Mean GARS I already explained. Yeah, so there is next GARS family, the component GARS. The component GARS. Basically, if you see the human behavior, मैं थोड़ा सा पहले बैकग्राउंड समझाता हूँ होता क्या है. अगर आप if you understand the human behavior, there are two type of people. There are two type of persons I found. One who are comparatively stable. So sometimes they are unstable. They are like I'm showing you with the help of a graph. So these are normally stable people. And some people are like fluctuating. So I call them stable people. And this is called unstable people. And both kind of personalities you can find around you. So this is called long-term behavior. But is it possible that stable people are always stable? No. Sometimes they become unstable and then become stable. Sometimes they become unstable, that becomes stable. Right. Similarly, is it possible that these unstable people are always unstable? No. Sometimes they are also stable. Right. So similarly, the volatility is having two components: long-term component, and short-term component. So what it means, even if you are unstable, so there is a period of stability comes in between. Even if the person is stable, there is a period of instability in between. Suppose the market is highly volatile. This is the highly volatile, right? It is also possible for 2 or 3 days it comes down. For 2 or 3 days it comes down. It is quite possible, right? Similarly, it is also possible the market is stable, but for 1 or 2 days it is unstable and becomes stable. So we have to find out the short-term and long-term component of the volatility. So even if your mood is off for last 10 days, but it is not possible that in last 10 days you are not happy for few moments. So like that. So this concept is captured by the model called component Gauge model. So let me read this. The volatility in a financial time series can also be categorized into two types: permanent volatility and transitory volatility. The permanent nature of the volatility indicates the long-term movement in the volatility. However, the transitory nature of the volatility indicates the short-term effect of the volatility. Short-term effects. In the following equation of Gauge model, the conditional variance indicate the mean reversion process W bar. This is a mean reversion process where W bar is assumed to be constant. Okay. Now see carefully. The component arch express two nature of the volatility, that is conditional variance has the feature of mean reversion to its long-term component. So here QT is the long-term component. The transitory component or short-term component and permanent component can be expressed with the help of two equations. So the first problem is that you have to understand two equations. The software will run two equations simultaneously. QT represents the permanent component. The first equation explains the transitory component. The first equation explains the transitory component, that is sigma square minus QT. So this is called the short-term component, because if QT is long-term, this is a long-term component, and sigma t square minus QT is a short-term component. So short-term component is expressed by these equations, and long-term component is equation expressed by these components. So the transitory component tends to 0 with the power of sum of alpha and beta, I alpha and beta. The second equation explains the permanent component of volatility. The permanent component converges. Okay, that is fine. So now I'm showing you how to apply how to examine the short-term component and long-term component in the volatility. So this is the equation. Equation is the log Gauge. Okay, this is the mean equation. We have to move back. Now I'm clicking on the none. So gold is my, so I want to see the temporary component and long-term component in the gold. This is my equation, forecasting equation. I'm going to component arch. So component arch model. So this I am removing.
सर स्क्रीन विजिबल नहीं है.
Screen visible नहीं है. Okay.
Sir, it is visible.
It is visible.
Yes, it was.
It is visible.
It is visible, sir.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
is visible, sir.
So it is. This is the forecasting equation, and I'm putting it none. So I in this option I am going to component arch model, and distribution I'm taking the student. Auto regressive, everything is fine now. Now I go to the OK. So the result will come here. So it is taking time. Yeah. So equation is already there. So you can see that now this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. So we can write both the equation from here. And normally I see the chart by here. So in this case, you can see that the green is my transitory component. The green component is the transitory component. and this line is a permanent component, and this blue is normal standard deviation. So you can see that the volatility is divided into two components, short-term component and the long-term component. So although very few researchers apply this model, because it is very, very difficult to find out the meaning from this model, that how we can use the short-term component in the equation. So the short-term, but we are having this facility in the EView software, that both the component can be studied with the help of the software. So whenever you want to express the nature of the volatility, you can represent that the short-term component and long-term component is also there, and even you can take some of the independent variables to predict the short-term component of the model. So you can save here, make forecast study estimate. So if you can make Garch variance series, I want to save this short-term and long-term. So we must have a facility to save Garch graph, conditional variance, conditional standard deviation, fine. Okay, so if you go to the conditional variance and permanent component, so you can save the permanent component, conditional component, and if you subtract the two, you will get the short-term component also. So Garch variance you can save in the name of the Garch gold. This is the permanent component of the gold, and if you take the difference, you can also find out the difference between the two. Difference between the two it means short-term component. So we can calculate the short-term component by short gold equal to the Garch component of gold minus permanent component of gold, and okay. So you will get the short component, and now you can forecast the short component with the help of equation. Let me try. How much the short component of gold is forecasted by returns of the Nifty. So you can also do the research like this. This is called micro volatility research. So here we found that Nifty is not causing the short-term component of the gold. So short-term component of the gold may be coming from other reasons. So in this way, we can also study the long-term component and the short-term component of the gold. Okay. Now I'm showing you the another concept which is very, very important concept nowadays, seasonal component of volatility. Okay. The next is seasonal volatility. And then I will also show you the effect of the event on the volatility. Okay, now what is seasonal volatility? Suppose we are having the different months like January to December. We are having the days Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Is it possible that the volatility in any particular month is high, volatility on a particular day is high? Is it possible? So can we say, let me check for the days. Can we say the volatility on any particular day is high, right? So the volatility, if found to be higher, significantly higher on any particular day as compared to any other day, then we call it seasonal volatility. So research have proved that the Monday is the high volatile day always, followed by Friday, and normally these 3 days are the less volatile days. So how to prove it? The question is that how to prove that volatility is seasonal in nature. So I am showing you with the help of one data set. So if you want to check the seasonal volatility, you can simply do one thing. You can, okay, I'm opening a data set. Okay, this is my another data set. In this data set, I created the dummies for Friday, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I have 2 series here. Like one is VIX, this is implied volatility. And I also have the bank series, Bank Nifty. So I want to check whether the implied volatility is also seasonal. I want to check whether the Bank Nifty is seasonal. So that we are going to do. Let's say Bank Nifty. So this is a Bank Nifty series, and first of all, I want to save the Garch variance series of the bank. And now I click on the quick estimate equation, D log because it is non-stationary, Bank Nifty, and C AR1 MA1. So I'm just applying the ARMA model on the Bank Nifty to check whether it is having volatility clustering or not. So, okay, let me just clearly find out with the help of Arch LM test, and found to have low volatility. Volatility is there, but it is low volatility and only 1 day. Okay, not significant, not significant. Okay, if I take AR2 and MA2, so if you want to calculate the seasonal volatility, you have to make dummies of the different time periods. If it is month, then month dummies. Okay, now it is significantly better. Okay, we go for the Garch model, and I'm going to apply the eGarch. Okay, now I am going to save its variance Garch series, Garch variance series. This is the Garch series of Bank Nifty. Yeah. So we have this Garch Bank. Now I want to find out whether there's a seasonal nature in the Garch volatility or not. So I click on this. I click on the Friday, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Open as an equation. Okay, software is when we take all the dummies, we have to remove the constant. Now you can see all significant. Okay, so we have to find out whether, so it is very clear the all days are volatile. So all these p-value indicate that all days are volatile. But I want to check whether the volatility is different or not. So I have to find out the highest or lowest value. The highest value is 399. Okay, so let me remove the DM Monday and take C here. So you can see all these are insignificant. So what it means that all days are volatile. Monday is highly volatile day, but there is no significant difference in the volatility. There is no significant difference in the volatility. So in this way, we can also check the seasonality of the volatility, and I can also check in VIX square, and it is DM. Okay, we don't have the values. That is the problem. So if you want to check the seasonality, you can check like that. You can check like this method. Okay. So now I am showing you one more thing. So I am using a data set. This is the financial assets. So I am now showing you how to capture the impact of the event on a volatility. So how to check the impact of an event on the volatility. So that is called event study approach. So volatility event study approach, how to do this. So I'm creating a dummy event and will check its impact on the volatility. So I'm adding some dummy event here. This is the data. Okay. So we are having the data from 2005, and event is this. So putting 0. And we know that in 2014, we have the elections. So let's check whether after 2014 and before 2014, there's a difference in the volatility. So in 2014, in May, we have the change in the government. Before that, Congress was in the picture, and after that, the BJP comes into the power. So now I want to see what is the impact of the volatility after that scenario. So this is known as the dummy event. Event dummy. This is called event dummy. So you can create dummies of different events, and let's save it. Now I import the data. So we are having the new variable here. And I want to check what is the impact of this event on the volatility of Nifty. So first of all, I am making a model for the Nifty. See AR1, MA1, and D log USD INR. So this is a forecasting model. Go to estimate. Now we are going to the arch, and I'm going to apply eGarch model. Okay. So we have the eGarch model results, and now I'm going to add the event dummy. Event dummy. Simply add the event dummy here and click OK. So you can see that the event dummy is having significant effect. So before 2014, the market was highly volatile. And after 2014, there is a decrease, there is a significant decrease in the level of volatility, at least by 2.1%. So it is slight low, but still there is a significant decrease in the volatility. So sometimes the people want to see that how much the volatility increases because of COVID and how much the volatility decreases or increases because of this reason. So you can take the different events, right, and check how these events is having the impact on the volatilities. So we can also check the impact of the events on the volatility like this. Okay, so now any query if you have, please ask. After that, I will decide how to proceed. So we have done a lot of modeling of the. Yeah. Hello.
Any questions from the participants?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, while choosing the Garch models out of all the 3 or 4 models you discussed, so you suggest that it is always appropriate to choose the eGarch modeling?
Yeah, because most of the research papers you have seen, if you see, they prefer eGarch model to represent the volatility.
Okay, sir. And even for volatility spillover, like there are other DCC Garch, DCC dynamic conditional correlation modeling also. So
Yeah.
if we can do it in eGarch, so we can continue in that. No, there is nothing.
No, when we talk about the volatility spillover, the volatility spillover, one of the method I showed you in the EViews, but nowadays we are having a more advanced model for analyzing the volatility spillover, and DCC Garch is one of them. But the problem is that the DCC Garch is not applicable in EViews, because in EViews we are not having any facility of applying the DCC Garch. So DCC Garch model you can apply in the Stata or in the R or any other software. So because these advanced softwares are having the inbuilt facility of applying or providing the applying the DCC Garch model. But still, the problem with DCC Garch model is that DCC Garch model is not telling you the direction of the spillover. The problem in DCC Garch model is that it is not showing you the impact of the or the direction of the spillover. So the direction of the spillover can only be checked in the eGarch model. I am showing you one paper. In that paper, we discussed the DCC. Let me try to show that paper to you. Okay, actually, we recently wrote a paper, this paper is in review. The assessment of volatility contingent effect between major financial markets, COVID pandemic. So this paper we wrote in 6 months back, but still the paper is still in review. So you can see that we apply the EGARS model between these three in Nikkei, Nifty, Hang Seng, DAX. So we take the some global indices and applied the EGARS model. So this is just the nature of the volatility. And then we go for the spillover, volatility transmission. Volatility transmission means spillover. So even though we prefer to use EGARS model from spillover from India to other countries. So Nifty EGARS series we applied in the independent variables and show how the volatility in India is influencing the other countries. So similarly, we reported the spillover from other countries, like spillover from the Nasdaq to different countries, spillover from Nasdaq to different countries. Now because this EGARS volatility spillover will give us the information about the direction of the volatility. So then we applied the DCG EGARS model. DCG EGARS model is having one problem. It is not showing you the direction. It only shows you whether the spillover is significant or not. Whether the correlation between the significant components, volatility components is significant or not. So DCG gives you two things: DCG alpha and DCG beta. DCG alpha and DCG beta, there are two components of spillover. For example, if some news comes, that news affect the US market. Now we want to check how much that news is also influencing the Indian market. So this is called news spillover. Similarly, second kind of spillover is known as persistent spillover. If US market is highly volatile because of not any news rather than because of the persistence, how that volatility is also causing the volatility in India. So that is called persistent spillover. So we calculate both the things, and we found that the persistence volatility is higher as compared to news volatility. And then we plot these graphs. So these graphs will show you that when the volatility spillover was low, when the volatility spillover was high, like that. And this is during the COVID time. So we found that at which time the spillover was high, at which time the spillover was low. So if you want to analyze the spillover effect, so I suggest you to apply both EGARS as well as DCG EGARS. If you apply both, then the complete information you can report. Otherwise, single EGARS or single DCG EGARS is not sufficient.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, and one more thing, I was told that when we do multivariate GARCH modeling, the nature of the stock should be same. Is it true? Like if I take stocks of pharma and if I take stocks of oil, so I cannot like do multivariate with that. It should be of same in nature. Is it true like
Same
that?
in nature means they should have the same order of integration. The same order of integration means both should be I1, both should be I2, like that. Otherwise, the same nature cannot be defined.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You can also check the volatility spillover from the gold to stock, so that is not a problem. But it is believed that the both should have the same order of integration.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, can I ask a doubt?
Yeah, please.
Sir, actually, my study is something related to US GDP, Indian software exports, and exchange rate volatility, sir. I'm just thinking on the study. So in this, as you said, like in EVs, the residuals are stored automatically. So first I need to take the volatility of exchange rate, then store the residuals. Then those residuals can be used in the main model, like dependent model is revenues from exports, sir, then GDP of US and this exchange rate. I can do that, right, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that was, I was confused, sir, whether how to create these residuals of exchange rate. As you said today,
Yeah,
stores.
the same
It
way
stores
you can
automatically.
say. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really wonderful session.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Sir, do you have
Questions?
YouTube channel? No,
Yeah,
are
I
you
have
doing
a
YouTube?
YouTube channel in the name of Research Shiksha.
Research Shiksha.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Because
thanks.
many things we will simply forget. So if it is there, then thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I think participants do not have any questions. So we come to an end with this session. Ajay sir, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. At this juncture, I like to propose my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed resource person, Dr. A.K. Chauhan, sir, who has taken out time from his busy schedule to share his wisdom with our participants. Sir has explained the concept of volatility in such a way that it becomes easy for us to understand, along with the hands-on training on eViews. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Participants will start with the next session at 3:15.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks. So I'm leaving now, right?
Okay, sir.